So guys, let us start with the demo of my web app, Tweetopedia. Right, so I've cloned the repository onto my local system already. So let us move to the repository. Okay, so now let me start the server. Right, so this command will start the server. Okay, now copy this localhost address and post it in your browser. I would recommend you to do this in Chrome because Chrome is quite a good browser. And so this is my project, right? So there are several modules in this project. So the first one is that we could talk about today is the sentiment finder. So the sentiment finder is just like your Google search engine. Instead of giving you web pages, it gives you the sentiment on Twitter. So let's just search for someone, right? Let us search about Barack Obama, right? What is the world thinking about Barack Obama right now? So guys, in the backend, I have used a Django web framework, and because of certain privacy reasons, I can't display the tweets on the web page. But when you want to see the tweet, right, you can open your terminals, and you can see that the tweets are being generated here. So again, to rename a street in front of, so you can see a lot of these being generated. Right, so let's go back to the server while the server keeps on working. I have basically taken down 50 tweets, calculated their sentiment, and then found out the average sentiment. Okay, so you can see that 54% of the Twitter sentiment is 54%. So how do we interpret this? This means that out of 100 people, 54 people are talking directly about President Barack Obama. They're talking positive about President Barack Obama. And then you can see the sentiment, right? So how many tweets are in the range of 0 to 20? So 4%, right? In the sentiment of tweet. So what does this range mean? So the range means that what is the intensity of that tweet. So say 0 to 20 might contain words like worse, very bad. 20 to 40 might contain words like okay, bad. 40 to 60 might contain like words like good. 60 to 80 might contain words like excellent. So this is basically a scale of review that I am using, right? So I've also added another functionality, right? So there are a lot of words on Twitter relating to Mr. Barack Obama which have a lot of context. So those of you who are fans of social media analysis, go to this folder, Tweetopedia, then my site, then go to query based sentiment, static, and there is a word cloud here that I've generated for you guys, right? So these are some of the words, right, which are being spoken about when people talk about Barack Obama. They have signed a petition, Obama Youths, Fifth Avenue, front of Trump, rename a street, supported border. So people sign. So obviously the border wall issue that is going. So people are talking about that. Let's do another search query, right? Let's talk about another topic. Say the U.S. government shutdown, which is currently happening. So again, you can come to the terminal and you can see tweets being generated there. So obviously you can read those tweets and come to your own conclusions. So we do have you can see that clearly 36.93% is currently the sentiment regarding the US government shutdown. So about only 37 people out of 100 people view the shutdown as positive. So that is how we interpret this. And of course, there is a lot of backlash against the shutdown. So this does seem very intuitive. So you can see that about more less than 50. So the kind of percentage of sentiment that you see is concentrated towards this region, right? So it is heavily concentrated below the 50%. So it is not a good positive sign for the shutdown. That is not many people believe that the shutdown should happen. This is a very useful tool. Right? Again, let's go and see the word cloud that has been generated. Right? You can see so many words in this word cloud, which just kind of illuminates how many people are talking about this. So House representatives, Democratic representatives, Senate, the Democrats vote. So obviously, the Democrats are coming to session, so you will have voting regarding that. So people are talking about that, and we can see it through this word cloud. uh, this word cloud basically gives us a context regarding the sentiment. So let me introduce my second module, which is the hate finder. The hate finder is basically a kind of a hate-o-meter that you can use to check the amount of hate currently on Twitter, right? So obviously, a lot of hate crimes happen online, and we are not able to detect that. So let's talk about let's talk about let's talk about say African Americans, right? So let's find. So basically, in this search bar, you enter queries regarding ethnic groups, right? The kind of groups that you want to find out, the kind of groups against whose percentage of hate you have to find out. So of course, again, uh, you will see that tweets are being generated here. So positive tweets there, right? So I have used a very strict criteria for uh, evaluating hate content on Twitter. So obviously the percentage will be much lower than the sentiment model that we just saw. Let's wait for the result. Okay, so results are there. So 1.7%. So obviously you saw there were a lot of positive tweets here, right? So which is creating this kind of hate. So now what does this mean? That almost out of 1,000 tweets, you have say 0.7% is you have almost 17 tweets, right? 17 tweets, which profess hate towards African Americans. So you can measure that, right? So let's search for another group. So let's search for Latinos, right? So another thing that I forgot to tell you in this is that you can see the word cloud for this also. So you come back to my site directory, then you go to hate-o-meter, static, and you see the word cloud. You can see the word cloud for African Americans. You can see Murray, NA, efforts, decades long efforts, black prevents war. So these are some of the words that are providing context and hate towards the search terms that I'm using. Okay, so you can see that the hate for Latinos is a little bit higher than that of African Americans. So almost out of 1,000 people, 20 people are professing hate towards Latinos, right? So, and that is a kind of a little bit intuitive also, um, when you talk about the general demographic. So, again, you can see that, the kind of hate that is happening, very extreme hate. So, 20 to 40 is extreme hate. 2% of the tweets are concentrated there. 0 to 20, 18% are somewhat hate. This is the of my demo of my second module, hate finder. So let's go to my third module, right? So third module is tweet generator. So the tweet generator is basically, we enter some starting phrases, and then we put the number of characters that we want. So let's say, one of the same famous catchphrases of President Trump, right? Gee, let's enter this. Let's see what LSTM spits out. So it says, "Make America Great," "Witch Hunt," "Left People from Politics," "Trump Agenda." Of course, this is not so trained. So this classifier is not very well trained, but it's able to generate partial words, and it is able to generate some important words that the president consistently uses. So like "witch hunt," "Trump agenda," "Comey." You can talk about, say, Democrats will be, and you can write down here, so again you can see how the president, when he talks about Democrats, he's talking about a great GDP, he's talking about conflicts, he's talking about, so this is a automatic LSTM that I've used behind the scenes. So at least it is able to make sense of the words and spit out a sentence, right? Of course we can modify this, but this is the best accuracy that I achieved. Now let me come to my fourth module, which is trends, which is basically what's the trends that are going on Twitter right now. So Flashback Friday, Kevin Hart, Friday Feeling. This you can see here is the tweet volume, right? So again, a lot of perks for people who want to carry out social media analysis. And I went out on you can see the word cloud here. So you can see how much, right? So what kind of words are being used against, which is contributing to a higher rate of hate against them. So, and you can also see the kind of general public public words that people use for these search queries in this app. So thank you guys.